Hi, everyone. Welcome to Gender Spectrum's non-binary interview series. My name is Jenna. I'm a project coordinator here at Gender Spectrum, and today I am here with Kevin, and we are doing this interview series to really just have conversations with young people who identify somewhere along the non-binary spectrum. So I'm here with Kevin today. I'm super excited, and you had told me that you described yourself as a YouTuber that creates comedic LGBT videos in hopes of helping the younger generation and everyone else, which I
Yeah.
think is super awesome. Is there anything else you want to add in terms of like an introduction about yourself?
I am currently a student at the University of Washington Bothell, double majoring in media and communications as well as gender, women, and sexuality studies. And just like studying those two, I feel like goes perfectly with what I'm doing right now with YouTube, media and communications, and I'm making LGBT content. So it goes with my second degree. And I only have 1 year left, so I'm super excited about that. And then hopefully I can do YouTube and like social media full time. If not, I'm sure I'll slay the real world too.
Awesome. So let's just jump in. I feel like a great starting place is just starting with why do you identify as non-binary? And sort of what does that mean to you, feel to you? Why does that feel like the right word to sort of reflect your experience?
So I identify as non-binary because I never found myself really fitting into the gender norm of boy or like the masculine side of that. And I never necessarily felt like I was a girl or I could be transgender. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'm a feminine boy or something along the lines of that. Maybe I am transgender and I'm just in the middle of that. And something that really stood out to me about being non-binary is that it doesn't have rules. It doesn't put you into a box of, yes, you are a girl or you are a boy. Rather, it's kind of in between. And I really felt that that's really what reflected me as a person. And I was like, you know what? This sounds like me. And I feel really comfortable being a boy, but being more feminine in that aspect.
Is there anything that you feel like in terms of non-binary identities that's like like a misconception or something that maybe people assume about someone who identifies as non-binary that doesn't really speak to your experience?
Yeah, a lot of people, well, since I do YouTube, I get so many comments from like younger folks saying, oh, he's definitely in the process of becoming a girl. He's definitely transgender, like give it 2 years or something. And to me, that's kind of offensive because although, yeah, I may seem more outwardly feminine, that doesn't necessarily mean I am a girl or will become a girl or whatnot. I just think that we need to have more education and just have people understand that, non-binary is its own category. It's its own gender, and that people who do identify as non-binary don't necessarily fit into the mold of wanting to become this or that. They're just themselves.
Mm-hmm. So it maybe can sometimes feel like people are putting you into like the box of either male or female.
Exactly. They're like, oh, he's going to become a girl one day, or like, oh, this is just a phase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, I'm curious what like the process was for you of figuring out sort of that term made sense for you. Like, did you look up other YouTube videos or like how did you kind of come to like, oh, this makes sense for me?
Yeah, well, growing up, I've always known that I was definitely more of a feminine guy. When I was little, I was interested in the Powerpuff Girls. That was like my TV show when I was little. My birthday cake when I was 5 years old was The Little Mermaid. So I definitely had more feminine interests in mannerisms, which is totally fine. And it wasn't until I went to college and I became an orientation leader. And we had this camp where we got to bond with our other orientation leaders and teammates. And we actually had a trans guy in our team. And during camp, I was rooming with him in a cabin. And during the first night, I just had this conversation about gender and like identity and how he found out he was trans. And I was like, oh, maybe I am. Like, can you help me figure it out? And he just gave me a lot of insight on like the different terms. Like, he gave me so many different terminologies and identities. And I was just like, okay, I realized that it's more of a spectrum. Gender is more of a spectrum rather than concrete boxes. And it wasn't until he told me that, oh, genderqueer or non-binaries is a term that exists. And I was like, you know what? I feel like I identify as that. And because of the insight that he gave me and getting insight from someone within the LGBT community, it definitely gave me a better perspective on who I was. And that's definitely something that got me interested in studying gender as well. So because of him, it definitely helped me figure out who I was. Yeah, and I know a lot of people like Google different terms and stuff. I personally was never one to like research. I don't know. I just was like, I'm just me. I'm just Kevin. That's who I am. But definitely listening to other people and learning from other people that have experienced things within the LGBT community definitely will broaden your perspective and make you understand better about yourself and about others as well.
Yeah. What is something or like a few things that are like positive pieces that you feel like um, impact being non-binary? Like I know we hear a lot about things that are like negative or difficult or like
Mhm.
spaces that aren't accessible. So I'm just curious if there's anything about being non-binary that you find is really positive.
Yeah, so being non-binary, the one thing that I love about it is that I get to express myself in whatever way I want. And fashion and makeup is one of the biggest parts of my life and interests, and I love it so much. And just getting to explore more on that side and getting to express myself in that side, it's so much fun for me. And I feel like if you live in a box, you're confined to just that type of expression. With me, I can wear feminine clothes, masculine clothes, or I can mix them both. And I think that really gives me a more unique look. And it definitely, has impacted a lot of other people. They see, oh, you're a guy that wears girl clothes. I can feel empowered to do the same or something else similar. Um, and I think that's definitely something positive within being non-binary is that you get to express yourself in different ways because for me personally, boy clothes they're kind of simple. It's like t-shirts and jeans and like a hat or like that's it. I'm like, okay, well I want to experiment more and wear, a skirt or like scarves and tights and leggings and stuff. So because I get to explore more of that side, I feel like there's more creative outlets with that.
What about in terms of like finding community or finding other folks who are like supportive of your gender identity? Do you mostly like go to YouTube for that? Are there any other spaces? Like what's been your experience kind of finding community around that?
Yeah, well, in high school, we had an LGBT Gay Straight Alliance Club, and I was involved with that for quite a short amount of time. But then in college, there is much more diversity, and there's much more acceptance and openness within LGBT people. So there are spaces on my college campus where we are allowed to come in and feel safe and comfort and just get to talk to one another. And that's kind of like a place to have discussions and stuff. But mainly for me, I find my main support on the internet. And I feel like just making friends that are similar to you or support you for who you are is just one of the biggest ways to find support because the internet is just a magical place. It is. So,
Yeah, lots of options on the internet to find like-minded folks,
hmm
for sure. Well, I think you kind of touched on this a little bit, but do you have any advice for young people who might be watching this program who are sort of figuring out their own gender identity?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the biggest advices I have to give to younger folks who are figuring out who they are, whether they're non binary, transgender, or whatnot, is to just take your time. Because a lot of comments that I get on my YouTube videos come from like young folks saying, oh, I don't know who I am and I want to figure it out like tomorrow. And it's like, it's definitely a process. It will take some time. Also, you want to be more mindful of where you're coming from in the environment you're in because let's say you're coming from a conservative family and you just go on full force with whoever you are, they may not take it as well. And I definitely think that transitioning into whoever you become slowly is the best way because not only does it give you time to figure it out and be more secure with who you are, it also gives people around you time to um, find more comfort and accept it's more at their pace as well. So
Hmm.
the biggest advice I would give is to just take time because um, you never know. You never know. So
Yeah, I think that's great, great advice. Any other thoughts or any last things you want to say?
I definitely would like to say that, life is too short to live against other people's rules and society's social norms and stuff. As long as you are a nice person and you're willing to open up and learn about other people, that then be who you are. if you mean no harm, then there's no problem in being who you are.
Yeah, I think that's great. I think that's an awesome note to end on.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you so much for being a part of this and sharing your experiences and your thoughts on this topic. For folks watching, make sure to check out the link in the description. We will have to Kevin's YouTube channel, Flawless Kevin. Yeah, we'll have links in there, so be sure to check that out. And we also have a non-binary teen group in the Gender Spectrum Lounge. So if you're looking to connect with other teens, that's a great way to continue this conversation. And look out for more interviews for the series. Bye.
Bye.